I'm reading the story.
Do you want to put Humpty in your lap?
Sure. I'll read it to Humpty.
Wait, and
Read it to all
too.
of us.
Oh, wait, Molly.
I'm going to read the book.
Do we have a Ferdinand stuffed animal? Story times.
I'm in the way.
The Story of Ferdinand. Let's see.
I'm confused.
Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. There's Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand.
Why not, Mr. Burniske?
He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers.
That's why.
He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers.
My kind of bull.
Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. Why don't you run and play with all the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here, where I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers. There's Ferdinand and his mother. His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. There's Ferdinand's mother.
Molly, you're going to have Tim narrate all your plays.
As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. You can see how tall he was on the little stump. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. They're looking at a poster. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers.
I can smell them from here.
One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. There are the 5 men in their funny hats. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were the very, very strong and fierce and pick them. All the snorting and butting. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. Walking out. He didn't look where he was sitting. Instead of sitting on a nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that is just what the bee did to Ferdinand. And that's how Ferdinand reacted. Wow, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all. Just the one for the bullfights in Madrid.
Poor Ferdinand.
So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. Parading in. First came the banderilleros, with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadores, who rode shiny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull. And you know who that was, don't you? They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderilleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. There's a scared stiff matador. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderilleros were mad, and the picadores were madder. And the matador was so mad, he cried because he couldn't show off in his cape and sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite court tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy.
How much is it going to cost to have to go down?
What did you say?
He's quite a,
What can I
for you
say?
to come down and read these stories to Alice. You're very dramatic. I think when Molly puts on her plays that you could be the narrator.
All right.
You're very dramatic.
Sounds like a deal.
Job steward, Scott,
Yeah,
read the safety.
Children's hours, it's just. Thank you for listening.
Bring the ring.
Called Windy Days, and it was about